A scandal at the World Series of Poker of the highest order, involving the winner of the main event. This doesn't happen every day, and this might be the most important controversy we've ever covered.
Secrets shared.
We've covered a lot of controversies. Let's get into the Jonathan Tamayo scandal and learn how this is shaking up not just tournament poker, but poker as a whole for the entire poker community.
Joe and Dom actually helped. If they weren't here, I'd likely do not win this tournament.
But before we get into it, we just wanted to thank you for checking out Poker Boom. We know there are a lot of poker channels out there, so it means a lot that you decided to check out ours. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell so you never miss an episode. Alright, here we go. Let's first talk about the poker player at hand, Jonathan Tamayo. Tamayo hails from Humble, Texas, and from an early age he reportedly exhibited a sharp intellect and a competitive spirit, and these qualities would later serve him well at the poker table. He studied hotel management at Cornell University, and after graduating, he faced a pivotal decision: pursue a conventional career or follow his growing passion for poker. He chose the latter, dedicating himself to mastering the game. His initial forays into professional poker were met with mixed results, but Tamayo's determination never wavered. His breakthrough came in 2007 when he began making a name for himself in the poker circuit. His first significant success was at the World Series of Poker that year, where he made his first cash. This marked the beginning of a prolific career in professional poker, characterized by numerous tournament cashes and a reputation as a formidable opponent. He's twice finished in the top 100 of the World Series of Poker main event in the past. Tamayo has also won 4 WSOP circuit rings, which are smaller tournaments ran by the same organizers which are hosted around the world. Throughout his career, Tamayo has accumulated over $1 million in live career earnings. His consistency and tenacity earned him respect among his peers and admiration from poker enthusiasts worldwide.
And then when we saw the laptop on the side of the table, you know, people were looking at each other like, isn't that cheating? Like, is someone gonna jump in? Like, what's going on here? Is this the direction, you know, like if I made the final table, would I be going against that stuff? Or, you know, what dream is alive for tournament players now, you know?
And of course, this leads us to the 2024 WSOP main event, where Tamayo beat out a field of over 10,000 players to win the biggest poker event of the year, over $10 million and the coveted gold bracelet. But not as all as it seems. An alarming number of poker pros have started to voice concern about Tamayo's victory after a clip of him during the final table went viral. In this clip, you can see Tamayo celebrating with his rail before checking out a laptop that one of his friends had brought to the event. It's claimed that Tamayo was checking simulators following the hand and had been doing this consistently throughout the last leg of the tournament. This would effectively let him know how he played the hand in contrast to the other players he was in the hand with. The Mirror put out a great piece around this, stating that as mathematicians get their head around No Limit Hold'em, a theory called GTO, or Game Theory Optimum, has been produced. This means there's a chart which can tell you whether you're making a positive play or not, for almost any situation, based on how likely you are to win the hand.
Well, yeah, and to further that point, I think it was a few years ago, there was a guy in the main event, and he literally just took out a piece of paper in between hands that he wrote out, you know, and they're like, you can't do that. You can't look at a chart in between hands, right? And this is like essentially, you know, no different than that.
Throughout the final table of the tournament, Tamayo was seen consulting his friends on the rail who were putting certain situations into a sim to confirm whether he had played his hand correctly or not. Now, the major issue at hand here is that technically this isn't illegal, because while Tamayo wasn't allowed to use a simulator, technically there are no rules regarding those in the audience using them and sharing their results. Many players in the past have had advice from their rail, but this is the first time that a laptop has played such a big role. The World Series of Poker was live streamed, and for the final table, it broadcast every single hand with information of what each player's hole cards were. But the stream is delayed by 2 hours, so it's impossible to cheat in this scenario. Once the 2 hours passes, information of particular hands can be made public, and that information will be often fed back to the players on the table from people on their rails, which can then impact decisions later in the game, as they now know how their opponents are playing particular situations.
Now he looks down at the younger player. Says, "What are you up to, boy?"
Tamayo also had a very knowledgeable rail that included Joe McKeon, who won the main event in 2015, and also happened to be Tamayo's roommate, which is a story for another day. German poker pro Dominik Nietzsche was the one running the laptop throughout the event. Now let's talk about the response from the poker community.
This is where you have to really sort of, get clarity, and saying like, well, I didn't hear the announcements. That's not like, that doesn't absolve you, right? Not knowing the law doesn't absolve you from having to follow it.
During this WSOP alone, I was hired by two guys who made final tables to essentially do that. Now, I did it a lot more discreetly. I didn't bring my laptop to the ring.
Overall, players are on both sides of the fence. Dan Jungleman Cates said that the whole ordeal was a bad look. Not cheating, but will dissuade recreational players from joining. It's on the WSOP to prevent this bad look for its and poker's image. And for its part, the WSOP tournament staff did say,
"We do ask you to please do not use any type of poker solvers at any point in time at the table or in the tournament area. If you are found using one of these poker solvers, there's a possibility of being disqualified from this tournament."
Daniel Negreanu, being vocal as always, said, "I remember hearing that announcement being made several times, so I'm not sure how this doesn't break that rule. Based on my understanding of the rule, looking at solvers or charts in between hands isn't allowed. Someone else running solves in the game and then telling you in between hands also should not be allowed. No one at the table said anything as far as I know, but had they asked the floor for a ruling, I don't see how they would have been allowed to continue." And finally, in an interview with Doug Polk, runner-up Jordan Griff said, "I thought that if they were doing anything nefarious or against the rules, that it would have been called out or caught on. I think using RTA is going to give an advantage. If I had 100% confirmation that they were there running sims, I may have mentioned something to the floor then." Recently, Tamayo did speak out saying, "I mean, that stuff wasn't under my control. My job was to play. Joe and Dom were giving me advice. I didn't tell them to bring anything. Whatever was on there was on there. My job was to play. You have to be pretty narrow-minded when you're playing. All the other external stuff is just wasted energy." And as for what the WSOP should do about these situations moving forward, he said, "I'll just shut up about it. I haven't thought about what needs to happen. People that run tournaments know a lot more about what's going on."
So I'll just leave it. I'll leave it to the operators.
Look, at the end of the day, the controversy offers crucial lessons for the future of competitive gaming. It underscores the need for robust regulatory frameworks and advanced detection technologies to maintain the integrity of the game, and this is largely on the WSOP, not on Jonathan Tamayo or his rail.
We're coming into an era and an age where the tools and tech is going to be overwhelming, and we need to get out in front of it before it gets bad.
Ultimately, these lessons will help safeguard the future of poker, preserving its status as one of the greatest strategic competitions one can compete in. And that's all we have for this one. Thanks for checking out another episode of Poker Boom. And what do you think about this controversy? Let us know in the comments, and make sure to come back next week for a brand new Poker Boom video. We'll see you in the next one.